Make sure to jot this phone number down. Take a picture, take a screenshot, write it down. 844-731-4987. I partnered with them, Chapter Medicare, about a year and a half ago, back in early 2025, to bring those of you in this community free, one-on-one, personalized Medicare help with a trusted advisor from Chapter Medicare. You can read it for yourself right there. Free Medicare help, and that's exactly what they are doing. In fact, they've already helped multiple thousands of you save about $3 million in the last year and a half, and they are helping those of you in this community every single day. There's a handful of you, actually more than a handful, a couple handfuls of you that are calling that phone number every single day, getting free Medicare help, and it's absolutely amazing. Anyway, call them, make sure to jot that number down. You're going to be very happy that you did, and they will help you start to finish totally for free, anything Medicare related. All right, anyway, more on that a little bit later. Let's pop this up right here, right now. Feel free to do the details on this. Let me explain exactly what I want you to know about this. And again, whether you love or hate some of the names that are in this article or that I'm going to mention here, it's kind of beside the point, okay? It's not here to support any individual person or party or, anybody like that. It's just, let's talk about what's actually going on. So it all comes down to this major revolution that we're going through right now with AI, robotics, sophisticated computers, quantum computing, all of this stuff. Basically really smart things that are happening, making our lives way more efficient. And what it's also doing, it's also eliminating a ton of jobs. There's a lot of jobs that are being discontinued or basically being eliminated because they're being replaced by automation and AI and robots. We all recognize this, and we're seeing it in a major way. Well, we're also seeing this, and again, this is not the first time we've heard this, but we've heard people like Elon Musk, along with many others, to be fair, and again, whether you love or hate Elon, it does not matter. My point being is that we've heard this out of Elon as well as many other high-profile individuals that have suggested we are on the path to such efficient automation and robotics that people will literally be in a situation where work will be optional. We won't need to work. It'll be optional. And yet we can just hang out, live our lives, and get this universal high income from the government, which will be forced to pay the people because, well, there's only going to be a select number of jobs, and only a handful of people are going to be able to get those jobs because it's only going to go to the most advanced, the most highly knowledgeable individuals in recognized fields that'll be, doing these essential jobs like this. Otherwise, AI, robotics, and automation will virtually do everything else for us, and we won't really need to do anything. So the government, essentially what they're arguing is that we will be in a place where the government will essentially be forced to pay everybody a universal high income, not a universal basic income, not a guaranteed basic income, not any of these teeny tiny amounts where we're going to give you $1,000 a month. No, that's pathetic. I'm just going to be fair, okay? $1,000, don't get me wrong, I would gladly take it, but that's not something to live on. Okay, living on $1,000 is basically impossible these days. I know that some people do it. I'm just saying, living off of $1,000 a month is like almost impossible with all of this rapidly rising inflation, the cost of housing and shelter and food and utilities and gas and everything else. Healthcare is another big one. Everything like that, we're getting hosed, we're getting hammered left and right. $1,000 is just not doable, but rather, some of the different plans and proposals that I've seen out there have suggested a livable income consistent with the national average, which, to be fair, right now, the national average as in household income depends on what you look at, by the way. There's some sources that say it's right around $70,000. There's some that say it's about $73,000. I've even seen sources that say it's right around $80,000 to $82,000 of an annual income for the household across the United States on average. Well, guess what? That would be about $6,000 plus a month is what that would come down to. Maybe between $6,000 and $7,000 a month is what that would come down to. And that's what they're suggesting is what the government would be forced to pay us as a universal high income. Now, the big question would be okay, sounds cool, but where would the money come from? Good question. They've also talked about, a couple different things. Number one, would be creating like what Bernie Sanders talked about, this AI, American Sovereign Wealth Fund, where basically these huge AI players and robotics companies, things like this, would be forced to give a 50% stake of their stock essentially to the government. Okay, so that's like one thing. Putting into this sovereign wealth fund where it would pay out dividends to the American people. That's one way. They've also talked about handing over about a 50% share through their stock to the government. That'd be another way to do that. Or just simply slapping huge taxes on AI, robotics, automation, basically anything that is replacing humans and workers with, machines essentially, is it basically putting a huge tax on them. So the tax that the worker would have otherwise been paying through federal and state and Social Security and Medicare and all of these taxes, basically just hitting AI with that. If a robot's going to be working, why not tax the robot, is essentially what they're arguing. So that's one way. So in other words, the government will get the money some way, somehow, and it may be more efficient simply because as humans, obviously, we can only work, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and we can only do that for 5, 10, 15 days in a row before we're so exhausted. We're like, we need some time off. We need to rest and, get some energy back before we can do it again. Well, guess what? AI can work 24/7, 365. It's never sick, never complains, it never needs a day off. Robots can work 24/7, 365. Same situation. So anyway, automation, all of this can continuously work. So if it's continuously working, that means what? More productivity. More productivity means more taxation, because the more that it produces, the more that it yields, is the more that it can be taxed. So what an efficient way that they're talking about, right? Interesting concepts. So they could actually tax these AIs and these robots and computers and things like this more than they're taxing the human. I don't know. Not sure about you, but that sounds pretty appealing to me, right? Put the tax on the machine. Sounds pretty cool, right? Take the tax off the person, put it on the machine, and there you go. You got a winning solution for everybody, and it could yield huge checks across the board for a lot of people. So anyway, I know this sounds super far-fetched, like, nah, this will never happen. It's probably not far-fetched at all. In fact, this is going to be the reality in not that much time. It's only a matter of years. Just think about it this way. It was only 3 or 4 years ago since ChatGPT was unveiled and released to the public. Look at how much has changed since then. It's nuts. A lot of things have changed in a major, major way, and it's only been a few years. We are still on the very, very early stages of this whole thing, and that's kind of where we're going. Anyway, I find it to be super fascinating, and I know a lot of people out there, are looking for something like this, and I just want to bring you up to speed as far as what's going on with this. Anyway, again, if you're on Medicare, need to enroll in